Hi, this is Chris Young, and welcome to Good News on Tap for the 27th Sunday of Ordinary Time. In today's Gospel reading, we have some of the most difficult teachings that Jesus presents, because it goes to the very heart of a very difficult topic, that is the topic of divorce. Jesus is taking a very hard-line stance against divorce as an option. That's a hard line that the Catholic Church follows today. In order to understand why Jesus and the Church take such a strict line on the topic of divorce, we need to understand what a sacramental marriage really is. An essential ingredient to a sacramental marriage is informed consent. Both parties have to completely commit themselves to each other and to have the emotional and intellectual capacity to give that consent to marry and to make that commitment. If either have failed to do that, then it's not really a sacramental marriage. The couple has not really created a union wherein they are no longer separate but are one person. They're not living out that symbolism of the Genesis story in the first reading, which says that husbands and wives are part of the same flesh. Jesus says a line that's quoted during the marriage sacrament. He says, "What God has joined together, let no man cast asunder." However, there's a difference between just having a wedding and a real marriage. Just because the couple dresses up in their finest, stands before God and everybody, and says a bunch of words, it doesn't mean they've really made a sacramental marriage, unless they both fully committed themselves to one another. If there's not that complete commitment by both parties, then God really hasn't joined them together. An incomplete commitment, or an incomplete capacity to commit, means that this joining is merely a human joining, and not a sacramental union made by God. So despite what seems like a very hard teaching of Jesus, it's not a hopeless situation if a marriage fails. Although the apostles upheld Jesus' teachings on marriage and divorce, and the Catholic Church continues to uphold those teachings today, there are ways to deal with failed marriages. Clear back since apostolic times, there have been exceptions for people who did not have a real sacramental marriage, and they could dissolve the relationship through a church annulment and then be free to engage in a true sacramental marriage with another partner. A true sacramental marriage is one in which the relationship between the husband and wife is a model or a symbol of the covenant love between Christ and his people, the church. That's a big burden to carry and a big goal to live up to. To have your relationship with another person reflect the covenant love that exists between God and his people, it's no wonder that the church wants to do everything it can to protect and preserve true marriages. They simply cannot take the matter lightly. However, millions of Catholics have had civil divorces, followed by church annulments, and as a result are free to receive all of the sacraments, including engaging in another sacramental marriage. So although the church annulment can be a lengthy and sometimes a painful process, it's a process that recognizes the reality that not everyone who has a wedding doesn't have a real marriage, not in the eyes of God and not in the eyes of the church. People tend to assume that if they get a divorce, they automatically are no longer welcome in the Catholic Church, and that simply is not true. Because marriage is such an important sacrament, married people have a serious calling to do everything they can do to make a marriage work, so that it can be a sacramental union that God intended it to be. But if it fails, in all likelihood, it was not a union made by God, and the Church does have ways to help you through this difficult situation. So if you're in a troubled marriage or a divorced, I encourage you to go to your parish priest and talk to him about it, because you're still very much welcome in the Catholic Church. And that's Good News on Tap for the 27th Sunday of Ordinary Time.